Rise of Autonomy, Chapter 6. My flawless Spanish comes in handy as we stop in New Mexico for the evening. There are no borders in the state, so all runs together. Az informs me that Texas will only be a 7-hour flight in our little plane from where we're at New Mexico. It's well before dark, and we set up camp on the rundown airstrip. The sound of other planes' engines firing is strangely soothing. The roar and rhythm are familiar, and in an arbitrary way, comforting, as the shielding was an airport environment. After we get our camp in order, Lily and I set out to find food in the local village. The village's adobe shops are painted in every mismatched shade of purple, green, and yellow imaginable. The tacky paint job is almost as unflattering as the smell of fish and meat hung out for sale in the unbearable heat. Flies flock to the meat, making me want to gag. I imagined the town would be as dead as Wash Creek, but the vendors whistle and grab at us, trying to get us to buy citrus, corn, and fish, with sunken-in eyes. But hey, at least they have food here. I feel tall, all the locals are a foot shorter than me and about Lily's height. I can tell Lily doesn't like the noises, because her fingers plug up her ears as a man selling corn hollers. Fresh corn, fresh fruit. She gets even tenser as the round woman pulls Lily into her shop and tries to sell us a chicken that is freshly dead, as she puts in Spanish. I bargain the price of the headless bird down and try to keep the flies off my purchase. Lily buys a pound of large grapefruit and some cooked rice. I find a man who sells machetes and kitchen knives in the town. He's kind enough to trade my 3 throwing knives for a more tactical machete, and it fits nicely into the pocket of my jacket that I stole. The people here are friendlier and better off than the locals were in Wash Creek. Leaving the convenience store, I turn to ask Lily why she doesn't like noises or making eye contact, but I don't see her in the swarm of people. My mouth goes dry. The city's bustling with 3-wheeled cars that blow their horns at everything, and the shop owners argue with one another. I try to yell her name, but I can hardly hear my voice. The rainbow-colored shanties only make it more difficult to find her because all the colors are dizzying. I lost Lily. My mind bullies me. "Excuse me, ma'am." A man's breath on the back of my neck as he grabs my jacket to get my attention. I feel the placid tug, which sends a message to my muscles before my brain can stop my reaction. I do what I was trained to do. The instinctive motion that I've practiced time and time again in combat class takes over. I drop the dead chicken to the dirt and thrash out my blade. In a single movement, I'm holding it to his throat, and my eyes narrow in. The color leaves his face and his eyes widen. "I was just trying to get past you. You're blocking the sidewalk." The town nearly stops moving. The cars stop honking, and the storekeepers rush out to see the commotion. His hands slowly go up, trembling. "Piper, it's okay, I'm right here." Lily shuffles out from the crowd, her head down. I instantly drop the knife and hold my hands to my chest. The man stammers away, then runs at full speed away from me. My muscles tighten and weaken. Breathing is the only task I can manage under the pressure that I feel in every cell in my body. I blankly tug Lily out of the street. Not a single street vendor hassles us after that. It was a knee-jerk reaction. I didn't want to hurt him. I feel the pressure building in my head until my eyes cloud with tears. I remember the last time my tear ducts emptied. It was years and years ago, after my obedience test. Weakness in the shielding was not tolerated. We're supposed to show no emotions at all. I still shouldn't allow weakness. So I quickly wipe my eyes before a single tear can fall. I still can't help but think about the guard I shot in the shielding when we escaped. And now I almost killed an innocent man. Maybe the state was right to lock us away. "It's not your fault." Lily dusted off the dirt from the chicken. "It takes a long time to get normal after you get out." Back at the camp, Az and Peanut are where we left them by the fire. Az stokes the logs to cook the chicken as the flames rise and fall. He studies it intently before speaking. "Tomorrow about this time, I'll be back on the farm. I need your help to disarm the bioweapon Ross was talking about." I start plucking the chicken. "I'm not going back. I've been away from the farm too long as it is." Az refuses to make eye contact with me, like Lily. I guess I'm used to Ross's unblinking stare. "We'll go back to Texas and return to disarm it." "We're not going back. We completed our mission." "Well, the weapon you created threatens my family. I pluck the feathers out of the chicken faster. Az throws a twig into the fire. They aren't your family. We're your family now. I wasn't going to tell you because they wanted to surprise you, but there's a happy family you don't remember or you don't care about waiting for you in Texas right now. My mouth goes dry again. Gio was right about us being their children, and too much knowledge like that's dangerous in the shielding. People are going to die if we don't go back. I thought you guys cared about that kind of thing. These people who you say are my biological family may as well be strangers to me. I don't have time for that right now. Looks like you'll have to make time. I put the chicken on the fire and feed Peanut the skin. His tiny, beady eyes beg for my attention, so I place him on my lap. It's comforting to stroke his smooth fur up and down. It's the first time that the dog has willingly sat in my lap. Maybe we're becoming friends. He's a better friend than Az is being, at least. Lily tries to feed him some grapefruit, but he snarls his teeth at her. The next morning, we have to fly through some rough weather, so the trip to the base takes 5 hours longer than it should have. We land in the dark, so the landscape is still a mystery for my imagination to build on. I open the plane door, and I'm instantly greeted with air that feels like soup with mosquitoes swimming in it. An older woman with smooth gray hair informs us that the press is waiting in the fixed base operations, but she calls it the FBO for short. The aging airport is full of empty chairs and closed-up shops. Az and the woman exchange small talk as we're led into a lobby. It's a small lobby with men in ties and women in black business suits with cameras and yellow legal pads rushing around. The cigarette smoke from the fidgety reporters drapes the room with a stale smell lingering in my nose. They chatter as they wait for someone to fill the podium that sits much like the one that the American chief uses during empowerment speeches. The state has a new leader every other day, it seems. A thin man with the same rich complexion as Az takes the podium. The man has a genuinely shy smile and shakes Az's hand. Az whispers something to him and then pats him on the back. Then the man puts away the smile and faces the press, adjusting his thin spectacles. The man peers at his note cards. Good evening, Texans. Tonight we celebrate our own little victory at dismantling one of our greatest threats. Thanks to the brave team of 2 agents, who are former operatives of the state, we've captured Piper O'Prey. Scientist Azariah Jones has worked to turn this modified weapon back into a human. The man turns to us and waves to Az to come speak on camera. My blood boils as the man addresses me like I'm not in the room. I'm not their captive, and I can leave if I want to. Az never once looks in my direction. Az never once looks at the direction of the camera. He stares at the cherrywood stand and addresses the nation. A week ago, I was sent on a mission to disarm a plane that the state called Piper O'Prey. But the weapon, upon doing research, we found out was not a weapon, but in fact a person. The state stole her from her family when we lost the war years ago. The family lives nearby in Cowtown, maybe by luck or some divine providence. I swore to them I would bring back a person, not a weapon. He almost laughs. But I quickly found out that I could take the girl out of the fight, but science can't take the fight out of the girl. So I'd like to introduce you to Joanne Cohen properly. Az waves to me to come into view of the camera. Lily takes Peanut and pushes me forward. It's so unfair to be thrown into this. But I unconsciously shuffle to the stand. The thin man shakes my hand and smiles. It's unthreatening, but I feel like this is a trap. There is someone we'd like to introduce you to, Miss Cohen. Call me O'Prey. I see his face turn as I reject my birth name. Joanne, I hear a voice desperate with emotion before I see a woman with lines on her forehead and big round eyes. She and a tall, balding man run up to the stage and embrace me. She looks a lot like the lady in my dreams, who I had seen 2 nights ago, but her hair isn't red anymore. It's gray and wiry. I can hardly react to her hug, so I stiffly stand engulfed in their arms. I can hear my mom sniffling with tears, so I lean my head on her shoulder. Emotional outbursts are inappropriate in this state, but I guess it's okay to do it in Texas. You might not remember us, but I'm your dad. The man smiles at me. He has a sweet, crooked smile. Mom lets me go. I'm so sorry, Joe. My heart softens a little, so I don't put up my guard with them. Maybe I should, but it's unlikely that they're a threat. They welcome me with open arms, even though I'm not a strategic benefit to them. They simply love me because we share some genetics. It's a bit odd, but these last 48 hours have been a bit odd. The cameraman pans back to the president. Well, folks, that's all the news for this evening. Good night, Texas. The camera shuts off, and the reporters chatter at us again. The president walks away. Wait. The press intently listens, recording everything. He turns and stops. Can I help you, Miss Cohen? Az steps in, but I cut him off. I need your help. The state's planning on murdering the kids in the shielding with a bioweapon. I can't leave my comrades to the mercy of the state. Murder. That's a word that isn't politically correct, but it's the truth. How can we help? He swats a mosquito. I need a plane, and we'll disarm the bioweapon. If it doesn't stop here, they'll use the weapon against your people next. In return for this, I'll ensure your people's safety. I stare at Az. If you help me, I'll voluntarily join your cause and fight alongside you. We'll be in contact. The president walks in long strides, out with the reporters following, at the heels of his polished shoes. My mother's face grows long, like the face of the farmers in California. I thought you could get rid of the modifications. No, ma'am, Az half smiles. No science can take the fight out of this one. I'm not dangerous or anything, I try to convince myself. My dad pats me on the shoulder. It's good that she can defend herself in this world. Mom takes me by the hand. Lily, Az, come to dinner with us. Joe, I can't wait to introduce you to your brothers.